Apparently we're streaming. Good. Hello, hello, hello. It looks like we're live now. It's a little bit late into things, but how are we doing? How's everyone getting on? I wonder if anyone's actually here to watch me. Probably not. But we're here nonetheless. We're going to be talking the week's Apple news, all of that good stuff. So if you've got any questions, hit me up down in the comments section. That's what we're here for. Let's talk about it. This week we've had interesting stuff going on, actually, which we've not had for a bit. We've had all sorts of stuff going on with iMessage. I mean, some of that was last week, admittedly. But Beeper seems to be still sort of bouncing around, being up, being down, being left and right. It's not exactly the most stable of programs, especially if you are paying a subscription for it. That seems like a bit of a vibe. But who's here? If you're here and watching, let me know and say hi, because it's really dull when you do a live stream and you're fully solo. Nobody likes that. Yeah, anyone there? Nobody's watching? This is very upsetting. Very upsetting. Whoa, we have a viewer. Hello, who is it? Say hello down in the comments. Do, please, because it's very important that I know who I'm talking to. We've got a new story that's just broken with Mac Rumors about Apple warning against non-MFI, non-certified Apple Watch chargers. This is something I hadn't seen before. I have noticed, though, that since I got the Apple Watch Series 7, the charging speed difference is actually quite substantial with the faster chargers. Is there actually an issue with this? Is it breaking Apple Watches or something? Okay, could reduce charging speed, add repeated chimes, and reduce the battery lifespan. Hello, Christopher Gavin. How are you? How are you, sir? Very good to see you. I'm just having a quick look through Mac Rumors to see if there's anything exciting that's going on. We have plans for how Apple is going to display Vision Pro in the Apple stores. That's, I guess, exciting. There's a family sharing subscription lawsuit that's happened. A little bit confusing, but okay. Certain apps, I guess, you get subscriptions that work across all of them, and others it doesn't. So I guess that's probably it. It's cost Apple $25 million, which I guess is basically nothing. So probably not a big issue for them. They might not have even mentioned it to Tim that 25 million was going for that. Really doesn't sort of matter, I guess. iPhone 17 Pro rumoured to feature a 47 megapixel telephoto lens. Now this is interesting. Michael Moy, welcome. Thank you for coming, sir. Telephoto lens. Okay, cool. I mean, megapixels get bigger. I guess that's news still, but it's kind of what you would expect, is that the cameras will get better over time. I suppose. That's me being a little bit cynical, but it's kind of, I guess, what you would have thought anyway. Let me know if that has stunned you, that we might get better cameras in a couple of years. So we've had the iMessage for Android stuff going on. One issue with high MP cameras is storage. I can understand why people like it. Okay, I can understand why people buy terabytes of storage. Yeah, I mean, I agree. However, with most of Apple stuff, even though they've got the 48 megapixel cameras on the iPhone right now, they're still saving them as 12 megapixel files. So it's not actually taking up as huge an amount of storage, because it's taking the 48 megapixels, pixel binning it down to 12, which gives you a lot less noise, all that sort of stuff, because you're going to get the average of those 4 pixels each time. And I guess they're probably doing like every 4 pixels and working out the best way to do it. But yeah, yeah, the files will be bigger if you're going to go to 48 megapixel native, but I think the way that Apple's doing it right now is probably right for most people. iPhone 17 Pro to feature Apple-designed Wi-Fi 7 chip, analyst predicts. So this is coming from Jeff Poo, who we don't really talk about that much on the channel, but yeah, I guess he's up there with like Ming Chi Kuo and Gurman. Apple Watch Ultra with 10% larger display and micro LED expected to launch in 2026. For a little bit. Maybe we'll just do half an hour. We'll see how it goes. If the numbers pick up a bit, then we'll do a bit more. But yeah, Apple and Corellium reach a settlement in iOS replication lawsuit. I think there was a company doing like virtualized versions of iOS. That was interesting. Threads is now allowed in the EU. That's true. I mean, we've had it in the UK for quite some time, but yeah, the EU is no longer the UK anymore. So yeah, this is cool. Apple report. Apple focusing on OLED rather than foldable iPads. Yeah, does anyone in the chat actually care about foldables? I mean, I don't. I could be on my own, but that's okay. OLED displays on the iPads, I'd be down for it. I don't care that much. I'm looking probably to get maybe an iPad mini when we get our next updates. That would be nice, just to update that. My eldest son has kind of stolen my iPad Air right now, so whenever he's at home, he's using that as well as his iPad 9th gen. So that's kind of annoying. But yeah, I kind of fancy an iPad mini again, I think. I think the mini's the right iPad to buy these days. I would hope, though, and I think I mentioned this in the last video, that I'm hoping they'll bring down the price of the mini to kind of be a smaller version of the regular iPad rather than being kind of a version of the iPad Air, but mini, which is kind of what it's been so far. I don't think it needs to be more premium. I'd be happy with it having a non-laminated display. I think that'd be okay. There's a lot of stuff that you could do with it, which I don't think would really affect people's purchases. But let me know your thoughts. My daughter took my iPad mini. That's why I'd like them to ship an iPad mini 7. Yeah, I would like one. Evan Rogers is here. Hey, how are you, Evan? Good to see you. Still takes the same volume as a bigger phone and still weighs double. For the foldables. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, so just having a really kind of quick chat because there's not been a huge amount going on this week, I guess. It's been a little bit kind of up and down. We've managed to get 3 videos out, which I think is pretty respectable. Plus this is a live stream, that's 4. Maybe something over the weekend, we'll see. What would you like me to do over the weekend? What do you want to know about? Should we do something when the Gominator comes out with his email? Saran recently mentioned that the Apple AirPods Max 2 won't have the H2 chip. Thoughts? We've heard this, I think, from Mark Gurman, that they're not really looking to change anything other than the port, and maybe not even call it AirPods Max 2, which, honestly, the AirPods Max are fine. It would be great if they had one lossless. I think that would be something that they should be adding, and it's lossless. Even if it's just over a wire, I think people would be quite happy with that. Yeah. Christopher Gavin saying, how is your Apple Home kit coming along? Any stuff yet? So I did receive some null plug sockets, smart plugs. I've got one which is running my LED background lighting. I'm thinking I would like to do the room where basically everything works that way, but most of my lights, because they can be wired or they can be battery powered, are not switchable with mains power, which is quite annoying, because I would love to be able to tap a button and everything comes on at once, but it doesn't quite work that way. And through the rest of the house, pretty much all the lighting is kind of mains central, like ceiling lamps. When we redo the lounge, we are hoping to put in more kind of mood lighting, up lights, that kind of stuff. So maybe that will make more sense, but at the moment, smart stuff doesn't really make sense for the way that our house works, which is kind of annoying because I would like it to. Did you hear that Apple will be selling the AirPods Pro case by itself with USB-C for $99? I did, and I covered it in yesterday's video. Yeah, $99 for a wireless charging case that happens to have USB-C on it instead of instead of Lightning. Seems too much. I think it was like $60 for the AirPods 2 or 3 case when they brought that out with MagSafe and they added the wireless charging. Yeah, $99 seems too much. As I said in that video, I think if you do want that, don't buy the case, because you won't get the lossless and you won't get the extra features that did come with that version, that kind of revision of the AirPods Pro 2. But sell your AirPods Pro 2 as they are and then buy the whole new set. You'll probably pay around the same amount, but you will get those extra features, so that makes a little bit more sense, I think. Christopher Gavin, I put all my inside Christmas lights through smart plugs. Nice to turn them off, all on in the morning. Oh, that makes sense, yeah. That's cool. I like it. Michael Moyes said you can buy a $4.50 adapter. For what? Michael, sorry, can you just clarify that one so that I don't know what I said that you're referring to, because it's confusing like that. Christopher Gavin says iOS 17.3 now in beta includes stolen device protection feature. Yeah, that's quite interesting actually. So the idea with this is basically it's to fix the sort of vulnerability that was flagged up by the mainstream media. I'm not sure who it was that actually found this vulnerability, but basically if you have the passcode, which is quite easy to see over someone's shoulder, you can reset the Apple ID, and you can reset like the email address that your emergency messages are sent to. So the idea with this, I think, is that it basically delays everything by like an hour. So you've got a little bit more time to change it yourself before someone else does from that device. Yeah, I think it's a positive step. It's I don't think it's all the way there, but it's pretty close. Okay, let's see what we got here. Oh, USB-C to Lightning £4.50 or $4.50 adapter. Yeah, the issue, I guess, is that like if you are going through these adapters, you're not going to get the throughput in terms of data probably that you would potentially otherwise, especially with USB-C/Thunderbolt. And this is still my beef with the USB-C changeover, is that the cables are not consistent. If all of the cables had to have like at least the USB-C full standard, as opposed to some being just for charging, others being for slowish data, like you can get USB 2 speeds of data over USB-C, or USB 3, or USB 3.2, or you can get so many different things, different charging speeds. It's very difficult to, for me at least, to endorse the change when Lightning was a standard and you knew what you were getting. Now, you could definitely tell the difference between official iPhone cables and unofficial ones, and there was the MFI program, but a lot of people were making them without using the MFI program. So if the argument was that Apple was making money out of this and that was what they were trying to protect, all of the unlicensed ones, they didn't. Which is going to be the same with USB-C. There will be approved Lightning USB-C cables, and there will be unapproved ones. And I don't think too many people are going to care, if I'm entirely honest. I feel like it's I feel like it's a campaign that's been run very much like this current iMessage thing with Beeper, where it just actually doesn't matter, and everyone's just said that it should because they wanted it to matter, but it didn't matter. I could be wrong. I often could be wrong. I'm just not often wrong in the end, it seems. I also still think we are going to get annual updates for the chips. I wouldn't be surprised if we see M4 this October again, but maybe even sooner. I could see M4 coming at WWDC, which would be great. But it's going to be in very limited stuff, and I think the MacBook Airs are not going to be the first from now on. I think the MacBook Airs are going to be held back a little bit because they're the biggest sellers right now, and I think Apple would like to sell a few more of those kind of base model MacBook Pros. If all the tech bros even that want to test them and do their benchmarks and all that sort of stuff buy the MacBook Pro because it's the first one out with the M3 chip, Apple's making a bit more cash, assuming not everyone returns them within the 2-week window, which is what a lot of reviewers do. I've never done that with any Apple product. The MacBook Air that I'm using right now is the only one that I kind of bought with a mind to maybe do that, but I didn't because it's great and I wanted to keep it. New security also requires touch or facial recognition before you can update your Apple ID. That makes sense. This was, I think the thing is like, it's an hour or you can use biometrics, which is good because every time biometrics has always fallen back to the passcode, which is like presumably your like master key at this point. But now that the biometrics have got so good with Touch ID and Face ID, it makes a lot more sense to kind of use that as the top level. Evan Rogers says now that the EU has basically received everything that they could want and hope to regulate at Apple, what's next for Continentals? I think they're going to sort of regulate the size and shape of iPhones next. Make sure that they all only run on 120 volt electricity for Europe and only European plugs and boxes. I think American plugs are probably a communist idea. I think that's what's going on there. No, I don't really know, if I'm entirely honest. I think the EU is going to carry on just meddling, basically. I don't think they're being particularly useful, but I do think they are going to keep sticking their noses in. I think things like TV streaming and all of the other stuff, like iCloud, is probably going to be like, you need to have an Android app for iCloud. Maybe they have already, I don't know. But that's the sort of thing, like making everything cross-platform. Opening up the NFC chip is probably one of the next things for banks. Apparently Apple has signed a few European deals to go direct to the chips now as well, rather than going through Apple Pay for that sort of stuff. So there's probably an element of that going on. But if I'm honest, I just think let the companies be different. Like, iMessage doesn't need to be an open standard. Like, all of this talk of being, we need to be able to communicate better with the native app. Just, if Apple just went, well, you can use WhatsApp as your native app if you really want to, and just open that, is that enough? Would that be enough to keep people happy? I don't know. But it would be a much easier, like, flick a switch and keep iMessage to themselves than trying to do the whole thing through there. Michael Moy is saying maybe they'll give Apple a break and go after Google, Microsoft, AMD and Nvidia a bit more. They seem to rotate around companies. I mean, possibly. I know America's had huge amounts of sort of influence over graphics card companies about what they can do in terms of AI stuff going out to China, which I feel is partially grandstanding against China. Whether it's useful or not is beyond me and beyond my pay grade. But I don't think it's something that everyone was crying out for. Just as in the UK, nobody's been crying out for social media minimum ages to go up to 16. I don't think. I think letting kids who are 13 or over, which is pretty much where it is right now, communicate with each other is fine. Keep an eye on what's going on, so you can keep an eye on bullying and make sure that that's not happening, that kind of thing. But to just kind of blanket ban it and not really, I mean, maybe like remove instant messenger, maybe remove stuff like that for younger users. I don't know what the win would be there. It's not something that anyone's been calling for, and it just feels like the current government, who are on their very last legs, are grasping at straws. Evan Rogers says the chip embargo on China has the effect of keeping them a full decade behind the US in silicon development. Yes, but then you've put US/Taiwan, and China still thinks that Taiwan is part of China. The people of Taiwan might have a different opinion on that, and so might some of the rest of the world. I don't know. They're very, very careful about this one, and they don't like to chat about it too much. But I don't feel like this embargo is going to keep them that far back, because if they want to get their hands on 4090s, they will get 4090s. There will be other ways. They might not be sold direct from the factory, but they will be sold somehow. I know it's like an ITAR kind of thing, where like rocket technology of certain types can't be sold outside of the US, and that's because of national security, because a rocket is basically a missile and all that sort of stuff. So I guess it's kind of along those lines, but I don't see that it would be that hard for people to get around if they really, really, really wanted to. But yeah, very strange. You could email the schematics over and someone in China could build it themselves. It's not that hard. China is getting around the embargo, says Michael Moy. Example is NVIDIA GPUs selling in double height. Companies are buying the GPUs, taking out the chips, and then putting them in server cards. Well, yeah, there we go. Like, there's always going to be a way that you can get chips. Like, chips are quite small. They're quite easy to hide. You can post stuff all the time. So there's always going to be ways. The embargo prevents ASML from selling the advanced EUV equipment to China. So is that the, I'm going to say, EUV is, I think, the system for putting the actual traces onto a wafer, from memory. ASML is Advanced Silicon Manufacturing League? I don't know. That's my best guess on that. Let me know, Evan, if I was anywhere close. You seem to be quite well versed in this stuff. Maybe you work in that industry. I'm not sure. Imagine we just find out that Evan Rogers is in fact Guo Mingqi in this video. That'd be crazy. But yeah, it's been a week, hasn't it? It's been welcome to Friday. I've been all over the place. I've been doing tequila tasting sessions. I've been doing all sorts of stuff this week, so it's been quite good fun. But I'm not gonna string out this this stream for too long if people aren't here. There's like 4 of you guys or something pretty close to that. It's it's a bit of a disappointment, to be fair. And I'm trying to get back to doing a lot more videos. I think that would be good. Evan Rogers works with Timothy Apple. That makes a lot of sense. Cool, good to know. And you're a big sports fan. We know that much. Cool. I will not pry any further because I don't want to get anyone in trouble. I'm not a leaker. I am an analyst of leaks that happen from other places, I think. It's the holidays right now, says Michael Moy. Well, it kind of is, but I'm still working. And I will still be working over Christmas and into the new year. Because America is a slave driver. That's all I know. Like, you guys keep me working all the way through. I could take time off if I wanted to, but I haven't. But yeah, anything good going on Twitter, or the new Twitter that's called X? Anything? We've got New Glenn is trending, which is Bezos's rocket, because someone's done some renders of it, but not actually. It's not flying or anything, as you'd expect. Because New Glenn is not going to fly for a while, because I'm not even sure if it's ever going to fly. I think it might be vaporware. I don't know if it'll successfully fly. Let's put it that way. Because I know they've built some. I don't think it's going to work. That's my issue. Yeah. What's everyone doing for the holidays? Anything good? Anyone going away? Visiting family? When do you guys stop working? Let me know. Evan Rogers, do your boys have phones yet? Or when do you plan on giving them phones? So, this is an interesting one. Ollie, who's the eldest, who's 9, has an iPhone. It's an iPhone SE, but it doesn't have a SIM card. It's basically to run his Dexcom diabetes monitor on his arm. So he has a phone, but it is not a functioning phone. It's basically an iPod Touch, but it runs his diabetes stuff, so it's kind of good. Not planning on giving them phones, probably high school, which here is 11 plus. 11 years and up, they go to high school. Yeah. Michael Moy, I've been looking at the new and refurb 2020 iMac 27s. They're about $1,000 and come with a year of Apple Care at a couple of stores. I can't recommend getting an Intel iMac of any sort. And the reason for that is not the performance of them right now. It's the longevity in terms of macOS, because I can't see that Apple is going to support new versions of macOS on Intel for more than a couple more years, probably 2 to 3 at a push more years. That would be 7 years. So I think we've probably got 1 more year. That'd be what I would guess. So I wouldn't say pick those up, but you know, if you need a 27-inch display and you don't need huge performance, it'll probably be fine. Christopher Gavin, are you going to do any more comedy soon? Second to Chris from Evan. Yes, hopefully. So I would like to go to some more comedy shows first. And I am planning to do some like open mics and things like that, probably into the new year. I loved every second of it. And if you haven't watched my video already, which I'm guessing if you're asking me this question that you have, if you haven't watched it, it's on the channel. You can see it on there. I really, really enjoyed it. I liked writing it. I was slightly petrified before I went out, as you would expect. But I did it. And that's the main thing. We raised like £400 for the Children's Hospital that looked after my kids. So that's pretty good. There's not a huge amount of Apple news is there to talk about, sadly. I was hoping to get a guest on today. I thought that would be quite fun to have someone to bounce off a little bit. But that did not happen, unfortunately. I'll keep trying, because I think I would like to do... Ideally, I'd like my live streams to become a podcast, which we can then put out once a week. I think that would be a good way to do things, a good way to kind of generate more content, which we used to do with Saran a little bit. But yeah, I think it's interesting. Christopher Gavin saying you were great and no one is doing any tech comedy that isn't taking the piss out of nerds. Yeah, and that's kind of the thing. Like, we all use it. I think the concept that I would probably go down the lines of is like tribes as being kind of the theme of things. So it would be that kind of Android user versus iPhone thing, which then ties in as well to the comic book nerd versus football and like sports fans kind of thing. And it also fits with a few of the other themes. So maybe I would try and build like a 10-minute act around that kind of tribal thing of which side do you fall on. I think that would work quite well. Originally the concept was going to be like things that don't know what they really are, which is why we went down the shops route and talking about stores that advertise themselves as being like a dollar store that doesn't sell anything for $1. Yeah, so that's kind of where I'm coming from with it. Certainly won't be doing anything this side of Christmas, I don't think. But there were a couple of people that saw the show before and would like me to do some more, so that's not bad. That's a good place to be. I'm on a few Facebook groups and things like that, which is kind of where it all happens these days. But yeah, definitely want to do some more. And yeah, I think tech is the right niche for me, but I think that kind of theme of tribes will work well within that. Let me know your thoughts. Oh, my internet connection is saying that it is struggling slightly as well, so we might well wrap this up. And if you've got any questions for me, I will try and make a couple of videos over the weekend, fingers crossed. Sunday, I've got rehearsals in the daytime, and then I'm looking after one of my customers for their Christmas party. And then Saturday, I'm pretty much here all day tomorrow. So, yeah, if you've got any questions, do drop them in the comment section. And we're going to wrap this stream up a little bit early today because it is quite quiet and my voice isn't brilliant. So, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for being here. And we will see you in the next one.